Hi everybody!
Hi!
I'm Daniel Robson from IGN Japan.
And I'm Arielle Busetto from Japan Forward.
And we are here at Fuji Rock Festival 2019 in Naiba, Niigata Prefecture. We've been watching tons of cool bands and things like that, and we thought we'd give you our roundup of our favourite things that we saw on Friday, the first day of the festival.
Together with a lot of rain, but you know.
It rained a lot, yeah.
Okay.
It was nice and sunny when we got here, and most of the day it was kind of okay. A few little patches of like misty rain, but in the evening it just went, the weather just went crazy.
So, Daniel, what did you think of yesterday? What were your favourite bands that you saw?
There was surprisingly, there was not that many bands that I was like, oh my god, I can't wait to see this one on the Friday.
Mm-hmm.
But actually, there were several that I really, really enjoyed after seeing them. And one that I was really looking forward to was the Chemical Brothers. They were the headliner of the Friday of the festival. You saw them too, right?
Yeah, they were amazing. They did an amazing set, and their graphics are incredible. They even won an award apparently for them.
Oh, for their visuals, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, in terms of so basically they're an electronic band from the UK, and when they put on a show, you know, it's two guys, and there's no spotlights on them. They're in pitch blackness behind a wall of like equipment and stuff. So they just let their sort of visual show do the talking, right? The light show, and they have a screen with visuals on behind them. And I thought it was really cool that usually at these big festivals, when you have like the main stage, and you have screens on both sides of the stage, and they'll show you like video, like close-ups of the band members and that kind of thing for people who are at the back and can't see. They didn't do any of that. There were no video cameras in the front at all in the photo pit. Instead, their visual backdrop sort of bled out onto the side screens as well, so it looked like everything was sort of coming out of the stage. It was really amazing.
Yeah, and it had all these very cool graphics. So the one that particularly stood out to me was this sort of pink Michelin kind of like figurine that looked like it was made out of Pringles, and I remember thinking, this is so bizarre. But it was
like
really
fluffy
cool.
Pringles. All
Exactly.
That's from their Eve of Destruction music video, and they sort of repurposed the sort of. In the video they have these very brightly coloured dancers but they don't look. They're in a human form, but they don't like humans. Like they were saying, like Michelin Man kind of fluffy, spiky things against the completely pitch black background, and so they really sort of stand out when you see them in that way.
Yeah, and the green stage in general has amazing acoustics, so it was really fun.
I think the green stage, the main stage here at Fuji Rock, is probably the best sounding outdoor sound stage I've ever seen.
Yeah, it really is a club in a tiny valley. It's incredible, yeah.
So the Chemical Brothers played for maybe like an hour and a half, 2 hour set, and playing stuff from all throughout their career, from like older songs like Block Rockin' Beats all the way up to Eve of Destruction, their latest single. And the woman next to me, by the end of the set, she was crying. Like literally, she had tears rolling down both her cheeks.
Wow.
I've never seen anyone do that at like a club music, event. And but I totally got it, because like when I was a kid, when I was like in my teens, when the Chemical Brothers first came out, and I'm from England too, and they were one of those bands that they're just there. Everybody knows the Chemical Brothers, and you hear them everywhere you go in England. And I used to go to see them play with the Prodigy at these like all-night events with my best friends, So I kind of was getting all these very like nostalgia pangs, you know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah, when they played some of the old songs as well towards the end, I was just like, this is definitely familiar, and it was definitely very, very good. What else did you see?
What else did I see? I went to see Yaeji. Yaeji is and I'm not sure if she's American-born, but she certainly lives in New York, Korean. I'm not sure if she's Korean or half Korean or Korean-American. I'm not entirely sure of her background, but she's based in New York, and her music is this very sort of downbeat, slightly melancholic, but also somehow like really like sort of groovy, kind of like has these like quite sort of sexy grooves to it. And then she raps in this very, very, very quiet, sort of whispered voice that's enhanced with some sort of slightly like sharp electronic tone to it. And she raps in English and in Korean. And I didn't really know, I wasn't that aware of her, and just as the festival was coming up, I was looking into some of the bands that I didn't know, and I really, really enjoyed her music that was online. And I'm so glad I went to see her set, because it was just great. It was like, I think there's something, again, like being from England, there is something about that sort of downbeat electronic music, like since like the Pet Shop Boys or New Order, that we just it's quite like a nostalgic kind of feeling for us maybe, and so that part of it really, really connected with me. And also, so Yaji, she's a solo artist. She's on the stage on her own, and she's sort of playing with electronic bits and bobs every now and then. But mostly, she's basically just dancing and singing, and you can tell that the vocals are still going through some sort of effects or processor, and maybe there's like backing track mixed in with her like live singing. So it's quite hard to tell exactly how much she's doing like live, but it doesn't matter because it just really comes across. She has so much presence and really kind of owns the stage. Yeah,
sounds like a great night. And this was very late, right?
This was very late. She came on at about 12:30 in the night, midnight, and went on to about 1:30 in the morning. Yeah. But it was full. She played in the Red Marquee, which is the sort of probably the third biggest stage here, and it's the only covered stage at Fuji Rock, and it was absolutely ram-packed with people.
Probably the rain had something to do with it, but I guess that's also like part of Fuji Rock, where everything goes on at any hour of the day. So.
That's it. Well, she has a song called Rain Girl, and it was raining when she was playing it, so it was perfect.
There you go.
Yeah. How about you?
So I took it kind of an opportunity as well to see bands that I didn't really know before, and I wanted to see what they were about. So one of the ones that I went to see was the headliner El Garden, which when we actually entered Fuji Rock, there was an insane queue for their like goods, right? You remember? And so I wanted to see what the hype was about. It was really interesting because I guess having been to some lives in Japan, and like one always has the sort of image of Japanese being very quiet and they don't really sing along and so on, but this was like incredible. Like people were like properly like jumping and dancing and singing along to all the songs and stuff.
That's cool.
It's not necessarily like my kind of music, but like at the same point it has this very sort of nostalgic Sum 41 kind of feel to it. So in fact I thought there was actually quite
kind
a lot of people
indie
from
rock.
A lot of people from my generation, or like maybe slightly older, but like it was quite young audience. So that was quite fun to see.
So El Garden, they're a hugely popular band in Japan, and they've been away, they've been on hiatus. They've been so on hiatus that they even have a spin-off band with some of the same members called The Hiatus. And so this is their first sort of big show in a really, really, really long time. And so you could really see, like yesterday, you can always tell at a festival like which band t-shirt you see the most. That's like going to be the band that most people came to see. It was wall-to-wall El Garden t-shirts, El Garden towels. And during their set as well, the green stage, the biggest stage, was just completely mobbed.
It was incredible. Like you could tell, and also the members of the band themselves, they seem really touched to be again performing, but also at Fuji Rock because they'd been here 11 years ago, and so they were saying how they were really excited to be back and how they had promised themselves 11 years ago that they would absolutely try to make it back, and everybody was like, oh, I'm like really emotional right now and stuff. You could tell everybody was really happy. It was what else did I see? I saw Mitski.
Okay. I saw just a little bit of Mitski.
She was good. She was also in the Red Marquee, a nice respite from the rain. And she was born in Japan, but mostly lived in the US, but she's fluent in Japanese actually, something that I didn't know. So she did all of her MC in Japanese.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah. So like also trying to appeal to a sort of Japanese audience and saying, oh, thank you for taking a holiday today since it's Friday. Thank you for coming, that sort of thing.
Very polite.
Yeah. But yeah, I really liked her set. I thought that she has this, her voice is something, got quite a particular quality to it that sometimes it also kind of dips into almost opera singing. It kind of has this kind of like thing to it. And then, but yeah, she kind of dips between like really ethereal music to kind of more sort of reminiscent of like 80s pop, like, so a little bit of influences from like classic rock and so on. It was good. It was jam-packed when I went in. Like,
yeah, same. She was on just before the Chemical Brothers, so I just went in and just watched a little bit because the stages are fairly close together.
Yeah.
And something about her voice very soothing, isn't it? Very warm sounding voice. Her songs are kind of melancholy and a little bit, sad, but also quite positive sounding.
Yeah, I thought it was definitely, and I think that people really engaged with her as well. Maybe because she's part Japanese, I don't know, but like people really seem to be into her set, and she was also trying to do a sort of giving a sort of image of, being very sort of like ethereal. Yeah, this is the word.
Right.
She was like reflecting that in her performance. It wasn't just music; it was also sort of acting thing that was going on. It was interesting. Yeah.
Speaking of musicians who act,
yes. Would you like to talk about that?
we went to see Asano Tadanobu Asano. He is most people would know him as an actor. He's one of the few Japanese male actors who've managed to kind of break out into the West, into Hollywood. So in Japan, he kind of made his name with Ichi the Killer, which is the Takashi Miike film, right? But now his biggest role is in the Marvel's Thor movies. He's in all three of the Thor movies as one of Thor's mates, and although he is an actor, he does all kinds of music activity. And so he has a band called Soda, which is like a kind of crazy hardcore kind of, well, not hardcore punk, but like the new wave kind of punk band. But that's not what he was doing this time. This time he was playing under his own name, doing what was described as a DJ set, but he's not really DJing because it's his own sort of beats that he's made on a synthesizer, on a sequencer, I should say. And very, 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 very deep, dark techno beats, very little melody, very hard driving, repetitive beats, but like really nice loops that make you kind of want to dance along.
Yeah, it was quite intense, I'd say, for like a 1 p.m. set, but I think he has a real presence as a performer. I mean, I think his acting career has something to do with it as well, so he managed really to keep his audience engaged, and it was in a very intimate venue, which we had never been to before, right?
No, it's I've been to Fuji several times, but it's the most far-flung stage. You have to ride a gondola for like
a dragondola,
right? Like like a ropeway car thing that goes for. I was expecting it to be just a couple of minutes zip up the hill, but it was like a 15-minute like theme park ride experience. So you're going up and then down and up through the mountains, and it was kind of terrifying. And then then you get to the end and you're in this just completely remote area where only the people who have just made it out there are there. Yeah.
People were really committed to go there.
You really have to,
but so everybody seemed to be enjoying it, and he was also adding a little bit of his lyrics, is perhaps a bit of a strong word, a bit of his cheering.
Yeah, at the end he picked up the mic and he was at one point he's like, "Odoro," everyone dance, that kind of thing. But then at the end he just started going, "Oh, there's 7 minutes left. Let's do our best for 7 more minutes. Oh, it's 3 minutes left. Let's do our best for like it was quite funny anyway." Yeah. And we interviewed him afterwards, which will an article will come out quite soon.
He was a very nice guy, so very much look forward to that. And what else was there anything that like sort of highlights that you like look out for this?
There was an artist that I really, really, really wanted to see, and I made it halfway through the set. Actually, because Ellegarden had such a big crowd at the green stage, getting past that to get to this other stage took a long time. But Charan Porantan is a Japanese two-girl sisters duo, although they were playing with like a full band set, and they played like it's like klezmer music, it's circus music. They grew up influenced heavily by their mum, who was always playing them like that kind of music, klezmer, and she was apparently obsessed with like the circus and that kind of thing. So they wear these very elaborate stage costumes that their mum has made for them, all like hand-stitched, beautiful kind of patchwork outfits. And the older sister is playing accordion very aggressively, and then the younger sister is singing in this like, she's very like petite, but she has this massive voice. And she's extremely enthusiastic and good at getting the audience to kind of join in and get into it. But it's like klezmer music. It's like at one point they were playing Havana Gila, which is the it's a very famous Israeli song, and you don't normally hear that being played by like a Japanese band. But then they also have slight elements of like Japanese traditional minyo and that kind of thing in there too. So it's really interesting. And they're a band that I'd say that even you could just turn up without knowing any of the songs and you'll definitely have a great time watching them. And the funny thing is, at the end of their set, they were like, "Oh, we've got some new merchandise. We're going to have merchandise over at the merchandise stand, right?" As soon as they finished their set, they walked off the stage, all with their instruments still, right? So there's like I think there were 5 or 6 of them in the band, right? With like brass wind and stuff like that, and violin. And they all walked off the stage, out through the side of the exit down to where the merchandise area was and carried on playing for like 20 minutes
Wow.
at the merchandise booth to encourage people to come over and check out their stuff.
Clever marketing, yeah.
And so and it was like this tiny little cramped little merchandise stand with like people just squishing in and trying to get a view of them, and every time someone bought something they'd be like, oh, thank you so much, while they're still playing.
That sounds incredible.
Yeah, it was really good.
Yeah. I just saw the pictures because obviously you upload them, and then I was just like, what am I looking at? This sounds it looked very fun though. I wish I could have seen them.
Yeah, it definitely is.
But in the meantime, I saw the set of Tom York.
Oh, okay.
That was really fun, really interesting. I mean, it's obviously, I'm sure a lot of people know, but he's the sort of frontman of Radiohead since 1991. But he actually started his solo career in the 2000s, and he's released 3 albums since then. But his performance was sort of focusing on the second album, Tomorrow's Modern Boxes.
Okay.
It was really fun. I mean, it was the white stage, so the acoustics aren't quite as good as the green stage, but despite that, it was packed.
It's the second biggest stage at Fuji Rock.
And it was sort of more rock centered, I suppose, but it was packed all the way to the very back, like literally to the trees.
Right.
Caught up with a lot of people like around there, and they were saying how they were very excited to see the sort of major band member of Radiohead live, and how it was, some even said that it was like a magical experience being able to see the idol and so on. It was really interesting. Yeah.
Radiohead have a very, very strong following in Japan. I mean, they have everywhere around the world. Of course, they're one of the biggest bands in the world. But in Japan, like they're sort of very deeply entrenched in most people's minds as one of those like god tier bands, And so even Tom York's solo stuff is a little bit different and a bit more esoteric, I think.
Yeah, esoteric is the word.
It definitely it still has that sort of grip on people that Radiohead have.
Yeah, so it was definitely good. Recommend checking out his solo stuff.
Very good.
Yeah, so I think that's our wrap up for today, would you say?
Yeah, just one more very, very quick one, if it's okay. So there's a stage at Fuji Rock, the Rookie A Go-Go stage, which is only on at night. It starts at 11 p.m. and goes through till the morning. And where they put on small, unsigned, up-and-coming, unknown bands. And there was a band that I saw in there called Paranoid Void from Osaka.
Oh, right.
And again, this is a band I didn't really know, but I think, well, the Rookie A Go-Go stage, the whole point is there's bands that you didn't know about. But so I didn't know them at all, but it's like math rock, so very, very technical instrumental music that changes tempo every, halfway through a song. Suddenly the tempo will change completely. It's quite, complex, but at the same time, sort of quite engaging, quite easy to follow along and listen to. They're a 3-piece band, 3 girls from Osaka, and the bassist especially, so it's drums, bass, guitar. The bassist is playing these unbelievable bass lines where she's sort of working all the way up the fretboard of the bass. She's not sort of playing it down at the end. So she's just using pull-offs and hammer-ons and that kind of thing. And but it sounds incredibly fluid and really deep grooves and that kind of thing. I really, really, really enjoyed their set. Yeah.
Sounds like a lot of fun. Yeah.
They have music on Spotify or Apple Music or those kind of places. So
I think it's always interesting whenever there's a band or an artist that tries to engage instruments in a slightly different way. So that's a little bit what I felt also with Tom York, because he's renowned multi-instrumentalist, right? So he was using a lot of unorthodox instruments and stuff, and that always adds, I think, an interesting quality, or even just a different way of playing it, right? So it just sounds like Paranoid Void sounded a bit like that, I suppose.
Sure.
But yeah.
Cool. So now it's Saturday morning, so we're rounding up what we saw on Friday. It's now Saturday morning. We're going to go out and get into the festival and see some more bands, so we'll come back and do another report like this tomorrow. Yep. So thanks everyone for tuning in.
Yep. And this is Arielle from Japan Forward.
And Daniel from IGN Japan, and we'll catch you guys next time.